Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today's review is going to be a tad different. I'm going to be reviewing my first documentary. It's the 2018 film Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, produced by Jeremy Corbells. The reason why I chose this documentary is I always had an intrigue with Bob Lazar's story, so I felt that this is very fitting today. For those of you who don't know who Bob Lazar is a former nuclear physicist who claimed he reversed engineered flying saucers at an area called S4 just south of Area 51 on the Papoose dry lake bed. His story was first brought to light in the early 90s by a Las Vegas television reporter named George Knapp. So those of you who aren't aware of who Bob Lazar is a former nuclear physicist who claimed to work on these flying saucers at an area called S4 on the Papoose dry lake bed just south of Area 51. He broke his story in the early 90s on a Las Vegas television news channel, and ever since then there's been a huge intrigue and folklore about Bob Lazar. A lot of people claim that he's lying. A lot of people claim he's a government plant. A lot of people believe his story. So diving into the documentary right now, the documentary is running at an hour 37 minutes, and it's sitting at a 5.6 out of 10 on the IMDb website. It's narrated by Mickey Rourke, and I gotta say, I don't know why they chose to have him narrate it. I know he's a good actor and he has a lot of contributes to many other things, but his narration, it made it very difficult to understand him throughout this documentary. I almost needed to put the subtitles on. So I gotta say, the good things about this documentary are that Jeremy Corbells brings people like George Knapp in on the documentary, and they do a recount of how Bob's story got into light, how he got into the public eye, how George Knapp kind of coerced Bob to go public with this, and it does really do a good job at that. However, the bad points about the documentary are that Jeremy Corbells inserts a lot of frivolous B-roll footage throughout the movie that just kind of takes your thought process away. It's very distracting, and it's throughout the entire movie, and it's just very odd artwork, symbology, and it really doesn't make sense. If you watch the movie, it's free on YouTube, and a lot of the commentators are saying, the actual documentary starts 6 minutes in because the first 6 minutes of the documentary just frivolous B-roll type footage. So it's one of those things, it's up to the viewer to decide if you believe Bob's story. He does have a lot of physical evidence that comes to light that supports his story. He has a W-2 from the Department of Naval Intelligence stating that he worked out at the test site. He talked about element 115 that wasn't even on the periodic table at the time, and he said that this is the element used to power these alien saucers. So him having that inside knowledge is kind of, it's just one of those things that, hey, this could be true. There's also some grainy video footage of a apparent test flight that was filmed in the desert where Bob brought his friends out to prove his story. So going into it, I would suggest, a once through in this documentary would be good, especially if you're not familiar with Bob Lazar or who he is or what his story's about. But my only critique and nitpick about it is that there's just a lot of unnecessary wasted footage that Jeremy uses, and Mickey Rourke, oh my god, you got to turn the subtitles on for his narration. So I don't know what that's about, but if you can get past all that and kind of get through the surface, and it does lay out a good portrayal of Bob Lazar and who he is and what his story's about. So again, today's review is Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, and again, 2018, produced by Jeremy Corbells. I just wanted to review this one in particular because it is free on YouTube. I'll link it in the description along with Joe Rogans Podcast featuring Bob Lazar. And please like, comment, and subscribe for future movie reviews. And one more thing I do want to mention, this Friday I'm going to see the premiere of Ballerina starring the very talented Ana de Armas, and hopefully this Saturday I'm going to have a review on that as well. So please stay tuned, and again, like, comment, and subscribe.